In 2022, archaeologists in Egypt uncovered a tomb they believed belonged to a queen. At first, it didn't seem unusual, but then they noticed something strange. The staircase was too wide, the entrance too grand, so they kept digging, and what they found may have rewritten 3,500 years of Egyptian history. Now, in just a few minutes, you're going to discover why Thutmose II may be one of the most deliberately forgotten pharaohs in ancient Egypt, and why the greatest secret from his tomb may still be waiting to be uncovered. Thutmose II is one of the most overlooked rulers of ancient Egypt. He was the fourth pharaoh of the 18th dynasty, a period often considered the golden age of Egyptian power. Yet, unlike the famous rulers who came before and after him, his name is often lost in the shadows. Born to Thutmose I and his secondary wife, Mutnofret, Thutmose II ruled only briefly, likely around 3 to 4 years. His reign included military action in Nubia and the continuation of royal building projects. But history barely remembers those achievements. Instead, he is often overshadowed by two towering figures: his wife, Hatshepsut, one of Egypt's most extraordinary rulers, and his son, Thutmose III, who would become one of the greatest warrior pharaohs in Egyptian history. For centuries, one mystery haunted historians. Where was the tomb of Thutmose II? Unlike many rulers of his dynasty, no confirmed royal burial site had ever been found. Some believed it had been destroyed. Others thought it had been hidden on purpose. And a few suspected something even more dramatic, that Thutmose II had been deliberately erased from history. That theory isn't as far-fetched as it sounds, because Thutmose II ruled during a fragile moment in Egypt's royal succession. His reign was short, his legacy unclear, and after his death, Hatshepsut rose to unprecedented power. Over time, many of his monuments may have been repurposed, overshadowed, or absorbed into the stories of the rulers around him. As the centuries passed, he became less a king and more a footnote, then became the breakthrough. In 2025, archaeologists excavating a previously overlooked area near the Valley of the Kings made a discovery that stunned Egyptologists. Hidden beneath debris and natural rock formations was a sealed entrance, one untouched for more than 3,000 years. The doorway was easy to miss, almost as if the mountain itself had swallowed it. But once the entrance was cleared, researchers found markings linked to the 18th dynasty, including a carved cartouche that strongly suggested the tomb belonged to Thutmose II. It confirmed this was not just another tomb discovery. This was the rediscovery of a lost pharaoh. Inside the tomb was remarkably well preserved. Unlike many royal burials that had been looted in antiquity, this chamber appeared largely intact. The walls still held traces of vivid color. Murals and reliefs depicted royal ceremonies, divine rituals, and scenes of military campaigns in Nubia. For the first time, scholars could see visual evidence of a ruler who had almost vanished from the historical record. And then came the artifacts. Archaeologists recovered golden jewelry, ceremonial weapons, carved scepters, and fragments of what may have been Thutmose II's funerary mask. A golden dagger inscribed with protective spells stood out immediately. So did a small amulet bearing prayers to the underworld gods, likely placed to guard the king on his journey into the afterlife. These weren't just beautiful objects. They were messages from a forgotten reign. Every item suggested that Thutmose II was far more important than later history had allowed. But the most intriguing discovery may not have been the treasures at all. In a sealed inner chamber, archaeologists found inscriptions unlike anything expected. Some of the hieroglyphs appear to reference Hatshepsut in unusual ways, not just as a royal consort, but as a political force during or immediately after Thutmose II's reign. If those readings hold up, they could transform how historians understand one of the most fascinating power shifts in Egyptian history. Could Hatshepsut's rise have contributed to Thutmose II's disappearance from the record? Was his memory intentionally diminished to strengthen later claims to the throne? Or was his short reign simply buried beneath the achievements of the rulers around him? Right now, no one knows for sure. But that uncertainty is exactly what makes this discovery so powerful. Because this tomb doesn't just tell us how Thutmose II died. It may finally reveal how he lived and why history nearly forgot him. There were other surprises too. Among the royal goods were more personal, everyday objects, pottery, tools, and small belongings that reveal the human side of a pharaoh usually reduced to a few lines in textbooks. These items suggest a life immersed in ceremony, warfare, and court politics, but also shaped by ordinary routines inside the palace world. Even more fascinating were fragments of what appears to be a ceremonial scroll. Unlike standard funerary texts used in many elite burials, these inscriptions seem unusually personalized. Scholars believe they may describe rituals tailored specifically for Thutmose II's afterlife journey, offering rare insight into religious practices of the early 18th dynasty. If true, that matters far beyond one ruler, because the tomb may fill major gaps in our understanding of ancient Egyptian religion, royal succession, and diplomacy during one of the empire's most powerful eras. For decades, historians have struggled with the lack of evidence surrounding Thutmose II. His reign sits between some of the most iconic names in Egyptian history, yet the surviving record is frustratingly thin. That made him easy to dismiss, a transitional king overshadowed by greater rulers. But this discovery challenges that assumption. The murals suggest he was militarily active. The artifacts suggest wealth and status. The inscriptions hint at political complexity. And the tomb itself, grander than expected, suggests he was honored far more lavishly than many scholars believed. In other words, Thutmose II may not have been a minor ruler at all. He may have been a crucial figure caught in one of ancient Egypt's most dramatic dynastic transitions. And that has huge implications. If the inscriptions truly reveal early evidence of Hatshepsut's political influence, then this tomb could help explain how she rose from queen to pharaoh. It may show that the struggle for legitimacy began earlier than historians thought, and that Thutmose II's memory was reshaped in the process. That possibility is why Egyptologists around the world are paying such close attention. And it's not just the historical story that makes this discovery extraordinary. Modern technology is also transforming what archaeologists can learn from the tomb. With 3D scanning, spectral imaging, and non-invasive analysis, researchers can examine faded pigments, damaged carvings, and fragile inscriptions without destroying them. Details invisible to the naked eye are now being recovered layer by layer. That means this tomb could continue revealing new secrets for years, even in one of the most heavily studied places on Earth. The Valley of the Kings still has surprises left, and that may be the most thrilling part of all. Because if a pharaoh as elusive as Thutmose II can remain hidden for over 3 millennia, what else is still buried beneath the desert? What other rulers, secrets, or political dramas are waiting in silence beneath the stone? For now, the tomb of Thutmose II stands as more than an archaeological discovery. It is a resurrection of memory. A king nearly erased from history now has a voice again, through his walls, his treasures, his inscriptions, and the mystery still locked inside his burial chamber. And perhaps the greatest revelation hasn't even been found yet. So what do you think? Was Thutmose II simply overshadowed by Hatshepsut and Thutmose III? Or was he intentionally written out of history? And if archaeologists open more hidden chambers, what do you think they'll find next? If you love ancient mysteries and lost civilizations, hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned because Egypt still has secrets left to tell.